Welcome to the IDP Plus Start Sit Show for week 16. And if you're here, I'm guessing it means you are in the playoff hunt, still in the running to try and win your championship. And we are glad to have you here. We see a lot of the questions already piling in, which is fantastic. Happy to help you out. I'm joined, as always, by the savant of IDP,
So fun.
Sean Teague at Sean 8386. Good morning, Sean. How are you doing today?
Good morning, everybody. I forgot to mute my phone again. That's all right. I'll
If
get it
there's
there eventually.
if there's one thing you're consistent on that week after week, our audience is coming to expect that, man.
It's getting bad. It's getting real bad. Those notifications were to let me know that this show was going live right now if I want to watch it.
Well, we are so glad to have you as part of the show to help all our watchers and listeners out there. And of course, 3 games already played. Um, for those of us that played, Chris Jones didn't do quite as well as we were hoping. Didn't give us a goose egg. Brandon Jones did very well, as we're expecting in that matchup against the Chargers. So hopefully you had Jones in your lineup and not going against him as I am in one of my semifinals here. But luckily on the defensive side, not a ton of major injuries so far this week outside of and I don't know if it's major, but Denzel Perriman being hurt a little bit on the defensive side. Of course, we lost folks like Tank Dell and Justice Hill yesterday as well. But we're here to talk start sit for going forward. And how about we jump into some questions, Sean? What do you think?
I'm ready.
You ready? All right.
I'm
Let's
ready.
start with Fantasy Breakout, who has been first every week except one. And I gave him grief that 1 week, and he's been first ever since again. Welcome, Fantasy Breakout. And actually, you did get the first one in. If someone beat you, they might have deleted it or some Fantasy Breakout. Pick one defensive lineman for the week: Simmons, Leonard Williams, Will McDonald, or Braden Fisk. So he wants one for this week. So we have Simmons, and I got to look at my cheat sheet here over here on the side. So we got Tennessee against the Colts, who
That's
don't always run a lot of offensive snaps, which is a risk.
right.
You have Leonard Williams against Minnesota, who lately have run a lot of offensive snaps, which means their defense hasn't been playing as much. Will McDonald, who I'm not trusting, he's at the bottom of this list for me most likely, and
Absolutely.
Braden. Yeah, so I'm glad we agreed on that. Braden Fisk against the Jets. So which one of those piques your interest the most right now?
Actually, I'm between Simmons and Williams right now. Williams has been, pretty hot this year, and Simmons has a good matchup as well. With it coming down to how many snaps are these guys going to get, I could see Simmons getting a sack, but is it going to be 45 plays or is it going to be 80? That seems to be the Colts. They're kind of one or the other. Well, probably not 80, but because of the uncertainty there, I think I'm going to lead Leonard Williams. I like his matchup too, and the Vikings are going to be on the field a good bit, I believe, to give him more chances here. And he
I
gets
do.
those big plays as well. The fumbles, the interceptions, touchdowns, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, I do like both Simmons and Williams, but because of the uncertainty of how much the Colts offense is going to be on the field this week, I'm with you, and particularly Rudolph quarterbacking on the other side instead of Levis.
Mm.
Um, I'm going to go with Leonard Williams on this one with you as well. He's just been such a monster and all. Now Simmons did have a great week last week and all. Don't get me wrong, but because of the matchup, and I have them both top 6 roughly,
Yeah,
and so they're both they're both way over McDonald and Fisk in my mind. But I think we're both leaning Leonard Williams for this one. Fantasy Breakout. Good luck. He is also hitting up with another question here. Caden Ellis, Levante David, Jamian Sherwood, or Frankie Louvu. Okay, so while you're thinking about that, I'll go on a vent about Frankie Louvu, who, of all weeks during the first week of the playoffs, which you could tell I'm really bitter about because it was part of a reason why I
yeah.
lost.
You don't sound upset at all.
I don't, but not a single tackle. Come on, man, against the Saints. Okay, I digress. I got that off my chest. I feel a little bit better. So out of these four, let's rank them. Who do you have number one?
Oh man, Sherwood's been on fire. Now I have a hard time sitting him regardless of the matchup. So I think I have him number one.
I like that call against the Rams, where the Rams should be running the ball quite a bit. The weather's going to be colder. It's going to be in 30s. No chance of precipitation, last I saw. But I love that Sherwood call when Kyron Williams might get 25 carries.
Then I think I have David slightly over Ellis. Those guys are really close for me. I like David's matchup better against the Cowboys, who are running the ball a lot more. Rico Dowdle's really taken off, and that's more tackle opportunities. There's no real threat next to David for tackles either. KJ Britt's hurt. JJ Russell hasn't done much. Spy Jones, whoever's in there, they don't scare me off of Levante David at all. Same thing for Ellis. Nobody else is doing anything next to him. Landman, Bertrand, Anderson, whoever it's been, it's Ellis is the only guy pretty much there in Atlanta. But I do have those guys really close.
I'm with you. So it sounds like we're Sherwood, David, Ellis, and Luvu is our
Yeah.
order fantasy breakout. With the Giants, look, if Drew Lock can go 0 of 8 against the Saints to start a game, and he's supposed to be the starting quarterback today, it just worries me about how much they might be on the field offensively. Plus, you got Tyrone Tracy questionable. So I'd rather take the chance of someone who I think will be on the field more, which would be David. So we're lying Sherwood, David, Ellis. I still don't think Ellis is a bad start. And Luvu, the only way I'd play Luvu, if I think let me try that again. The only way I play Luvu if it's a big play scoring system where you get big points for sacks and you think you're going to need it because of your matchup and where you might be after the first 3 games or something. Otherwise, that's our order. All righty. One more from Fantasy Breakout here. Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange in a half PPR?
I think I'll take Strange this week. I mean, he's getting all the targets that Evan Ingram had. They're short on wide receivers. Hunter Henry's been splitting a bunch with Austin Hooper a lot too. They both seem to get plenty of targets, but yeah, I like Strange a little better this week.
I didn't know you were into Strange very much. That's interesting to know. Okay, Sean?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Strange all my life.
I was going more for that angle. Exactly right.
Yes.
Not about Brenton Strange's particular case. I'm with you on Strange. I mean, 11 catches, 77 yards with Mac Jones. Mac Jones is coming back. Is playing again this week. It is the Vegas Raiders we're talking about here as well. And so I do like Strange in this matchup. Not that New England, Buffalo, their defense isn't spectacular necessarily, but I think I'd put my money on Strange on this one as well. All right, Dynasty Daddy saying he's got a few this week. And he is starting off with, and glad to have you, Dynasty Daddy, as always, Myles Garrett or Andrew Van Ginkel. Now, Myles Garrett got poked in the eye, left for the game, got checked out, left, but came back. Apparently, he said he could only see in one eye, and they had to shift the side he was playing on because he could only see out that one eye. But got checked out on Monday. Everything appears to be fine, other than the fact that he might start making some noise about wanting to be moved if the Browns don't have a good plan to become competitive. But outside of that, he'll probably play pretty well today versus Van Ginkel. What are you thinking there, Sean?
This is close. Initially looking at it, I didn't think I would have it this close, but man, Van Ginkel, he at least gets me tackles. He can give me a handful of tackles and the sacks. And he's going up against Seattle, who has been known to give up quite a few sacks this year. I feel like Cincinnati's been moving the ball really well. He may not have as many opportunities this week.
Well, Cincinnati's offensive line isn't exactly an A+ offensive line. Best, that's a great word for it. But at the same time, Burrow does a pretty good job avoiding the sacks as well. So with that, I can see why Dynasty Daddy is struggling with this. But boys, it's hard to sit Garrett though.
Right.
I mean, Van Ginkel is an interesting play, but boy, Garrett is
So you're
if he.
staying start your stud, don't get fancy here in the playoffs.
I still think Van Ginkel is a tier below Garrett,
Yeah.
you know, and so this is one that man, if Garrett goes off and gets a sack and a half and a few tackles, I'm gonna feel miserable that I made the decision to leave him on the bench.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like he's going 6 weeks without a sack or anything. He still had multiple quarterback hits last week and all. I'm going Garrett. I'm playing the stud, Sean.
Yeah, I'll go Garrett too. Ginkel's right there behind him though. It's a good question.
All right. So Sean and I were talking about Grant Stewart before the show, and we figured we'd get a lot of Grant Stewart questions. So we have a Grant Stewart versus Jordan Brooks. Now, Stewart has had a very productive game in Speed's absences in the past. Jalen Carley's was activated from IR. Sean, I know you're trying to do some research online before the show as well. Were you able to find anything definitive that said Stewart was actually starting over Carley's next to Zaire Franklin?
Nothing super official, but that does seem the way everybody's leaning. I still have a little pause there because I could see it being a rotation. Maybe not a heavy rotation, but 60-40, 70-30, something like that. I'm a little nervous of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
And
So if you have Jordan Brooks, who's probably guaranteed you to get nine
yes,
tackles or so, I don't know how you could take the risk of Stewart, who may end up still being the number three linebacker.
right.
Um, and even if he's in Speed's spot, he's not EJ Speed as well.
The
So that
Titans really haven't given up a whole lot of points to the linebackers over the last few weeks. They have been moving the ball, spreading it out a little more, and the running game is it's not terrible, but it has been hit and miss. I'm not trusting Stewart right now. Not when I have somebody like Jordan Brooks right there ready to go.
we are aligned. We are going with Jordan Brooks on this one. It is a great question though, but we're going to stick with a known quantity on that one. Okay, and start one DB. Now, Amadi only played 75% of the snaps roughly last week. Maybe it was 74, something like that.
Mhm.
Still had a very productive line. We've been on the Amadi bandwagon, but there's some interesting other ones on this list here from the safety position of Duggar, Belton, Amadi, and Lake.
Lake is the last one for me, so he's pretty much out. I still
Yep.
like Amadi. Duggar's got a really good matchup, and I believe he played a lot more up in the box than we were anticipating last week.
Yeah, but the Patriots do play games with that. Peppers had been playing, for example, about 25% deep and the rest closer into the box and the line. And then last week they put him back deep almost 50%. They do tend to be matchup dependent on how they play things and move things around, makes him a little bit more risky as well. I actually have it Amadi, Belton, Duggar, Lake. That's my order.
That's probably what I'll go with as well. Belton was fantastic last week, and the matchup against Atlanta is great. However, with them switching quarterbacks, it may change all of that.
Well, that's interesting because my perception of it is yes, they changed quarterbacks. Yes, he has a better arm, a little bit more mobile. He's not a typical scrambler as people want to try and pretend that he is. He is really more of a pocket passer, but he is more mobile than what Cousin is. But I could see them trying to help him out by running the ball a lot. So if I'm in a deep league, I might, am desperate for some reason, I'd be willing to play Algier because I really think you're going to run the ball. I don't think they're going to throw it like 35, 36 times like they might with the Cousins. I think it'd be closer to
Right.
26, 27. And I think that means more running opportunities, which means more opportunities for Belton, particularly since he's been playing close to the line and Pennick's been the one playing deep. But still, in this case, you're still going to Mahdi over Belton?
Yeah. Yeah. He's proven week after week for the last like 8 weeks.
Okay. All right. And Dynasty Daddy, you are very welcome. And we wish you the best. And hopefully you'll be here in the finals next week. All right. Bird is with us. Welcome, Bird. I don't know if we've had a question from Bird. So I think he's a new one, huh, Sean? unless I'm forgetting.
Don't get me lying.
Okay, well, welcome. Glad to have you, Bird. And it looks like Bird has a couple of questions here. First question: Eric Wilson with the Packers against the Saints, or Maris Lufau in that matchup against Tampa Bay?
Oh boy, I like both. I think I like Wilson a little better. I think his floor is higher. But
Interesting.
Lufau actually getting the bigger plays, the sacks, forced fumbles, fumble recoveries, stuff like that. But I feel like Eric Wilson has a better tackle floor, at least.
So, do you have any concern about a potential three-way rotation where Wilson, when he did come in for Quay,
Mhm.
played every snap in that position? It was like
Yep.
you add the two percentages together, it add up to exactly 100%. So it was a
Yep.
1-for-1 split. No concern about McDuffie, Cooper, and Wilson rotating.
No, looking earlier this year, they did the same thing when Wilson did play. It was the same thing. He got all of Walker's starts, all of his snaps, and the other two rotated there. It's like they have just this linebacker and this linebacker, not, there's a direct backup, a direct position for each one, and not a general backup linebacker.
So with the assumption that Wilson's going to play 100% as a result of that, and playing in that green dot Mike position, we're in on Wilson. Like Lufau, but like Wilson more.
Yep.
Fair enough. Okay.
Yep.
And then he's in terms of he's piggybacking off of fantasy breakouts question, but a little bit of a twist. Hunter Henry or Jake Ferguson in this case. So since Rush, of course, Ferguson was injured. When Rush took over as quarterback, he has not been targeting Ferguson nearly as much as Prescott did. And there's been several people that have got burned by taking the over on Ferguson the past couple of weeks in terms of yardage versus the under. But even with that said, Hunter or Ferguson?
It's still close. Like I said, even with Brandon Cooks coming in, he seems to be taking some of those goal line shots away that I think Ferguson probably would be getting. Even though with all that on the table there, I think I still like Ferguson just a little better than Henry.
I'm with you. Even with that said, I agree with you on the Tampa Bay secondary with some of their struggles with Winfield out, with Whitehead out in the middle. KJ Britt is back. If they try and take advantage of that with his lack of prowess in the passing game, for lack of a better term, or even if they sub
Yeah.
JJ Russell in, who's not great at it either. Um, so we're going to go with Ferguson over Henry on this one, Bird. And Bird has another question for us.
Oh, here we go.
James Williams over Wilson in
Yeah.
Lufau if Baker sits again. All right. So I talked a little bit about this in the IDP Advice Show, IDP Plus Advice Show. In order, the Tennessee linebackers, from my perspective at this particular moment. Now, listen, forgetting about who's out, and you can tell me if you disagree, Sean. Murray 1, Gifford 2,
Yep.
Baker 3, Reese 4, James Williams 5. That's the order of all are healthy in my mind based on what I'm seeing. Agree or disagree?
I think that's definitely on the first two. I'm not too sure that Reese isn't over Baker at this point. He was a healthy inactive last week. He was cleared to play, off the injured list, and I don't think they like him. If I'm being honest, they have not stuck with him. He was just kind of a throw in with their trade
And when he
with
first got traded
Seattle.
there, he sat out several weeks, whereas Ernest
Yep.
Jones started playing right away. So that's a great point as well. So there's an argument to flip those two. Now, Gibbons is definitely out. Murray
Gibbons is
might be out. Murray might be out. They were going to try him game time, but he
out.
didn't practice all week. Reese was questionable.
Got a
James,
limited practice in Friday.
yeah. Now James Williams, he was a safety in college at the University of Miami, fell all the way to the 7th round, but sometimes you get playing time and things worked out. And he ended up, they were desperate. They threw him in there. By the way, they threw him in over Cedric Gray, which was interesting, who was drafted earlier. Um, But boy, are you willing to the former safety in college, just transitioned to linebacker, who's probably fifth on the depth chart. Are you willing to play him, particularly over these known commodities?
Not over these two. However, I'm not playing James Williams until I'm going to have to see the official who's in, who's out, because whoever's playing is going to have probably a pretty good day. The Tennessee linebacker position produces no matter who's in there. If I don't expect Murray to play, I really don't. Hamstring injury, didn't practice all week. I'm assuming he's out, waiting for that official announcement. Reese, ankle injury, got a little practice in Friday. Not not very not very good there either. And then Baker's still an unknown. If Murray and uh, who's the other guy? Murray and Reese are out. Baker might be forced to play with Williams. It's a mess. Stay away from it if you can.
I think
I think that's where I need to go with it. Yeah.
yeah, I think that's a great summary. It is a bit of a mess. I think it's a little bit too risky, particularly when you have some known commodities here. I think, it's one of those things. It feels like, man, if we think we're cute and we play Williams and he starts struggling and they take him out because he is a seventh round rookie, used to be a safety and misses some assignments, they throw somebody in as a result or whatever. You're going to say, like, why to get so cute playing Williams over, Wilson and Lufau, who are likely to play close to 100% of the snaps. So wouldn't do James Williams. So hopefully that helps out Bird, and hopefully it helps others that are listening and thinking about lineup decisions as well, about maybe not getting too cute on some of these things and sticking with people who are known commodities are going to play a lot of snaps. Fantasy sports, welcome Fantasy Sports. Always glad to have you as well. Alul Khan, Jewel, or Cashman? All right, who's third on your list really quick? We got to pick one of these.
Third? Oh, man. Probably a Lewican.
Yeah, mine too. He is. So that's where I thought you were going to go as well. Even though he's finally back to 100% of the snaps, and Devin Lloyd's been in the mid-70s, and Ventrell Miller's fallen off to the 20s and 30s, whether it be the offense happened to stay on the field a ridiculous amount of time with a bunch of dinking and dunking and running the clock and trying to drain the clock, to a little bit usage on the D line and not the typical Mike position, Aluakan's last. So then it's Jewel or Cashman, and we have Jewel. Oh, go ahead.
Both these guys have been playing pretty well. I don't like the matchup against Arizona. For as much as James Conner is a ball, they don't give up a whole lot of points to linebackers, or have not recently. Robinson's banged up in front of him too, though, so that I feel like that opens up a few more tackles.
I just think that Connor is going to get the ball 23 times today running the ball, and it's going to create a lot of opportunities for Jewel. That's what my gut is saying. Not to mention that the Arizona Cardinals center got put on the injury report this morning with an illness, which is interesting. I'm going Jewel on this one. Are you going Jewel or Cashman? Are we going to split it?
I'm going to split it, yeah. I think I want Cashman with some big plays today.
Okay. So sorry, Fantasy Sports, we're going to split it. Elaborate a little bit more maybe in that matchup against Seattle. What is it you like about Cashman?
I'm thinking with the way Seattle's line has played, that their offensive line, I think he's going to get a sack today.
Okay. All right. There we go. That's gutsy calling a sack. All righty. But you got Leonard Floyd right a couple of weeks ago, which I was really impressed about. So, I called him a savant. There's a reason, folks.
I get lucky sometimes.
Fantasy Sports has one more for us. Kenneth Walker or Rachaad White this week?
I don't know if Walker comes in and just takes the full-time share. I think Charbonnet showed enough that it's going to be a bit of a rotation there. And I will take White in his rotation because he does get the checkdowns, the catches for sure.
The Kenneth Walker one is quite risky based on how well Charbonnet played. And a lot of rankings still have Walker above Rachaad White right now. And I'm just looking at another one right now, and they also have Walker over um, Irving as well as White.
That's no. Even his last few healthy games before he missed the last few, he wasn't doing that much. Sure, some of the matchups were stingier, but his yards per carry were way down. He wasn't getting in the end zone that much, so I feel good with White.
Okay. So one of the interesting things is that when I was checking the weather forecast earlier this morning and all, particularly I wanted to have the latest on the Green Bay New Orleans game for our listeners in case it came up in one of the questions somehow. But Seattle and Minnesota at Seattle is the only game today that's predicted to have significant precipitation. Like there's an 80% chance of rain, plus it's going to be fairly cold, not below freezing kind of cold, but it's still going to be kind of cold. Does that in any way influence your decision here on Walker or White?
Not really, because I could see Minnesota controlling the clock. Just I just I don't trust it. I don't trust Walker coming back after as well as Charbonnet played. Weather doesn't affect me a whole lot here.
All right. All right. So we're going to roll with White on Walker on this one, which is against what most people recommend in fantasy sports. So if you're going with this, man, know that you're going against the grain on this one. Harry Brooks. Welcome, Harry. Always glad to have you here as well as on our IDP Plus Advice show, which I have to remember to come back and talk about in a little bit here. To start Benton over Duggar.
I think it's Belton, Dane Belton.
Yeah. I was about to say, I don't think he's meaning Keanu Benton there, who already played yesterday. Nothing about it. So he's asking about Dane Belton versus Duggar. And we talked about this a little bit earlier. I'm in the Belton camp on this one, and I believe you were as well.
Yep.
Okay. So we're going Belton or Duggar, and it's not actually too close in our mind, Harry, to be honest with you. All right, we got Caleb back. Good morning, Caleb. Glad to have you back with us as well. Pick two full PPR here. Brian Robinson, Jerome Ford, Tony Pollard, or Calvin Ridley. Does any of these fall? And we're picking two, and this is full PPR. Does any of these immediately fall to the bottom for you? Sometimes that's an easier place to start.
I'm a little worried with Pollard being banged up.
He is supposed to play, I read this morning.
Supposed to play. Spears looked really good when he came in last week. I could see a bigger rotation. I don't know if Rudolph helps Pollard and Ridley or kind of buries them two.
So Jerome Ford, so it's interesting because there's some really tough matchups here. And also, Brian Robinson against Philadelphia doesn't feel great.
Right.
Jerome Ford, if Winston was quarterbacking, I'd feel much better about it. But with DTR,
yeah. Right.
Dorian Thompson-Robinson, I wonder how much they're going to be able to sustain things in terms of, so I do think they'll try and run the ball, but I still think Ford will be platoon. I think Strong's going to get some carries. I think Foreman's going to get some carries. It's not like it's all going to go to Ford either. So he's kind of dropping to the bottom for me right now.
I was actually thinking Ford over Robinson. Not by a lot, but just for because I do see him being heavily leaned on.
See, I see Robinson being heavily leaned on as well, too, against the Eagles, even against that stout front. I think Robinson gets a cheap touchdown. That's in it for me, whereas I don't think Ford sniffs a touchdown.
So you like Robinson. Who's your second guy?
So I don't even know who's first on my list right now. I think first I'd have to go with Calvin Ridley on this one.
That's scary.
No, you know what? I'm going to do this. If Pollard is healthy, I'm playing Pollard first. If he's active, I'm going with Pollard. And then do you want to go with two Titans with Pollard and Ridley? Or do you want to go with Robinson over Ridley? Or Ford over Ridley? I think we're going to end up splitting on this one. I have a feeling, Caleb, and I'm sorry to tell you that in advance.
Yeah. I think I'll go with you on the Pollard and Robinson.
Pollard and Robinson. Okay. So we didn't split it. Yeah.
We're looking at we're looking at touchdowns or bust basically with all these guys. I think.
Yeah. And so while Levis was chucking to Ridley, I don't know if we're going to see as much of that with Rudolph.
Right.
And I don't think he's going to deliver presents for us this year through the air to Ridley. See what I did there?
I like it.
Boom.
I like it.
I'll be here for another 30 minutes. Okay, so we're going to go with Pollard and Brian Robinson for those reasons that we talked through, Caleb. And hopefully our logic made sense. You may have heard something else we said that maybe changes your mind, but that's our thought process here. And as our co-owner Nathan likes to help me to remember to tell everyone, we have a lot of questions in the queue. We may not get to them all. If you do use the super chat function, we will guarantee to answer your start-sit question before we leave the air. But we will be leaving around the top of the hour. We've got about 29 minutes left. So if you use the super chat function, we guarantee to answer your question, even if we have to stay a few minutes later for the super chat questions. Okay? Summer, welcome back. Summer, glad to have you, and I hope we helped you last week. Need one out of Joel, Jordan Brooks, Fred Warner, and McFadden. And you're very welcome, Summer. Glad to help out. This is another tricky one here. Fred
Only
Warner had
one.
the big, yeah, only one. Fred Warner had the big game, but it felt like it all came after Greenlaw left the game. And Greenlaw's
Right.
questionable, but expected to play.
That's a great matchup.
McFadden playing the Okereke role. And as we talked about earlier, at least I think I did, in that matchup against Atlanta, I do expect Atlanta to run the ball quite a bit, and McFadden is very efficient, and he'll be playing 100% of the snaps. Brooks against the 49ers, and Warner against the Dolphins, so both sides of that. And then Josie Jewell, who we talked about earlier, how we saw him as a really top play this week. So there's some pretty good options here. Which one sticks out for you, Sean?
I'm leaning towards the last two, and it's only because of that big game that Warner had. If you'd asked me the week before, I'd have said Warner's out. He was doing absolutely nothing. So I don't know if that was just matchup related. Maybe he's healthy. Maybe he said, "Oh no, Greenlaw's coming for my job," and stepped it up. I don't know. But he does concern me because I don't know which Fred Warner we're getting. I'm leaning towards McFadden. So I do think the Falcons have a lot of rushing today, and he has been very efficient. Okereke is on IR the rest of the season. There's no concerns of him coming back either. So
Can you also see a blowout in this game where Atlanta gets a big lead and then
yeah,
they're just running the ball, and that's part of the reason I talked about Algier being a potential play as well. I could see this being a blowout game and they're running the ball, and McFadden will stay on the whole time and just get tackle after tackle late in the game as well.
absolutely.
So it's a unconventional answer from most that you might see in other locations or spots, but we're going to roll with McFadden on this one, Summer. Who's your number two out of curiosity on this one? Is it Warner? I think mine's Jewel on this one.
Uh, I still like Warner's upside going against Miami because there's no Waddle. Hill's banged up. It's all running backs and Jonnu Smith, so it keeps everything pretty close to the middle of the field. So I do still like Warner's second.
Okay, all right, Warner. So we'd have Brooks fourth of these then, or would you have Brooks even over Jewel?
I have Brooks and Jewell side by side, and
Okay,
they're right behind Warner. I feel like all these guys are really close.
yeah, I think that's the key point. I think at the end of this, you'll see, for the most part, the points will be pretty close, but we
We're
do have
splitting hairs.
yeah,
Yeah.
but McFadden is at the top based on this. All right, Fantasy Breakout's back with another question here. Pick two running backs: Rico Dowdle, Brees Hall, or Miller.
Kendre Miller.
Kendre Miller, that is correct.
Oh
I'm
boy.
I don't know if I'm the Saints going into the frigid weather in Green Bay. Now the good news is this earlier this week there was like a 60% chance of snow, all that kind of stuff. Most of that has dissipated, so I'm not seeing that as an issue. I just have a tough time trusting the Saints offense with Spencer Rattler, and I think Green Bay this starts becoming a blowout. Miller, they haven't shown him to be the pass catching back like they have with Kamara. He could end up being that, but when I have Dowdle and Brees Hall as my other options, I think I'm going with those two.
Yeah, I think that was very well said, Ricky. We haven't seen what Miller can do by himself out there, and the probably the lack of touches he's going to get. That's enough to scare me off of the known commodities of Dowdle and Hall for sure.
All right. So let's go to the wide receivers then. Amari Cooper, Jamison Williams, and Christian Watson. He's got a cup. He's got a three boomer busts here. So it's which boomer bust do you like the least?
I think I'm out on Cooper after seeing how that went. And so Williams and Watson. Oh
Uh,
boy.
oh, he did say
Williams.
pick one of these. I was thinking two. So yeah, Cooper is out for me as well on this one. You know, the, granted these are all boomer bust, but last week with all those receivers back finally, which is one of the differences in him basically not getting utilized at all and playing the least amount of snaps and so forth, Cooper is last for me right now. I think Detroit, with Detroit's defense being so banged up, I think they're going to have to throw. I think that's going to potentially create more opportunities for Jameson. I think Green Bay can blow out New Orleans. And if
Yeah.
Watson doesn't get his early, he won't get it probably at all. So that's why I'm leaning Jameson. Sean?
Yeah. I feel Jameson's your best chance to get a touchdown here.
Okay. We're going to go with Jameson Fantasy Breakout, and good luck, man.
Quick
Now,
news, real quick. We
yep.
have Kenneth Murray healthy, Jerome Baker out.
Is Otis, do you happen to see if Otis Reese is active or not?
I have not seen Otis Reese yet.
All right. Let's take we're going to try and take a quick peek. Well, while you're doing that, I'll start reading the next question. All right. So onenation.rn4l. So I think this is his or hers first time joining us. Welcome, One Nation. 1, 2, 3 scoring and need 2 flex. And boy, we've got a long list to pick from here.
All right, real quick. Reese is active.
Reese is active. So back to the James Williams question. There's no way we're playing
Stay
James
away.
Williams. Yeah.
Stay
Okay.
away.
Stay away from James Williams. All righty. Now I'm thinking about, do I want to go pick up Otis Reese in one of my leagues?
Me too. I'm in the same spot. All right, focus.
Focus. Because we want to help One Nation here. He's got to pick 2 and 1, 2, 3 scoring. So Greenlaw, Cashman, Spates, Peppers, Hufanga, Blankenship, Williams, and Muasat. Well, we've thrown out Williams already.
Throwing out Spades, whatever.
You've thrown out Spates.
Yeah, he hasn't done anything.
Musa played almost 100% of the snaps last week.
Did nothing.
But did very little with it. Exactly right. There was a reason he was a late round draft pick. Blankenship tends to play deep, so he's out for me. So right now, I'm leaning towards, at this point, Cashman and Greenlaw. I think I want the 2 linebackers over the 2 safeties that are left.
I had to. If Greenlaw comes out with his hair on fire like he did last week, I mean, he was almost double-digit tackles at halftime before some swelling slowed him down. And I trust Cashman. I don't know about Hufanga. It's a good matchup. I just don't know how that game is going to turn out. I'm kind of staying away from that for now. Peppers was playing deep. I'm not trusting that right now either.
If you had to give him a third one, let's say Greenlaw is ruled out, and they do play in the later game as well. That's something to consider. I'm looking at who else is in the later game. We got Minnesota and Seattle. San Francisco is in the later game. So is Hufanga your fallback if Greenlaw is inactive?
If Greenlaw's inactive, I think you have to.
Okay, fair enough. Okay,
I don't feel great about it, but that's your only other option here.
Exactly. I'm waiting on Greenlaw. I think he's going to be active, and so but if he's not, you got a fallback plan because he's in the later window, and that's something we always try and teach our listeners. We haven't brought it up as much lately, but always look at the start times and make sure you have a fallback position to go back to, particularly during your playoffs here.
Mm-hmm.
Ant Live, welcome back, Ant Live. Always glad to have you. 2 tackle heavy scoring system: Nakobe Dean, Josie Jewell, Ernest Jones, or McFadden. Wow, 4 really good options here as well.
Really good options. Oh boy. So if it's this close, I'm going to look up matchups. Commanders are giving up the most points to linebackers over the last few weeks. So Dean, who's been on fire too. I mean, it's not just that he's been putting up really good numbers,
Yeah.
and I
Even
think it's
even last week when they weren't on the field for many plays because they
yeah he
dominated the game, he still was their leading tackler and did very well. So,
super efficient. Yeah.
yep, I'm with you on Dean.
The next thing is I'm still a little out on Jewel. He's the last I think of these for me. It's between
Okay.
Jones and McFadden for me. I see both these guys being on the field a lot. I trust McFadden more than Jones.
Oh wow, you Chester McFadden over Jones on this
I think so.
one. It's once again it's the unconventional answer, as we talked about previously on McFadden. I'm in on Dean.
Okay.
I am neck and neck on Jones and McFadden.
It's close, right?
We're aligned that Jewell is fourth. Not that Jewell is necessarily a bad play for the record. Um,
right, right.
oh man,
Jones has a great matchup. Minnesota runs the ball a lot. Um, the argument's there for any of them.
yeah, I'm going Dean and Jones slightly over McFadden. So we're going to, unfortunately, live we're splitting on you, but it's splitting hairs between Jones and McFadden. It's really, really close. Okay, and look, Jewell's not a bad play either. Um, I think Sean's a little bit more down on him than I am, but I still like him as a number two linebacker this week, like in the 13 to 18 range. So sorry we split it on you, and we do wish you the best on that one. We do have one. I'm pretty sure I would remember this one if he. And look before we respond to it, he said he's losing his mind over this one. So we're going to help Matty Boy Blue to not lose his mind. And the question is, Josie Jewell or Jordan Brooks? I could see why he's losing his mind because they are like neck and neck.
They are neck and neck.
All right, what do the matchups look like when we talk about um, Brooks playing against San Francisco, and then Jewell in that matchup for Carolina against oh my gosh, I drew a blank against
Arizona.
Arizona. Thank you.
They're actually not far apart when it comes down to the matchup. I think San Francisco gives up just a few more points over the last few weeks.
So
It's not by a lot.
do you think with now Garindo out, they're number 4 running back, and they're down to Patrick Taylor, Izzy Abanikanda, and Keyshawn Vaughn, that they just don't run the ball as much to create as many opportunities. Um,
You still have the
not
checkdowns, the near the line of scrimmage plays that Brooks could get in on. But what's going to split it here for me is Jewell has shown he can get sacks, maybe cause some turnovers. I feel better that Jewell can get a big play where Brooks is kind of limited to just the tackles right now.
yeah, I
So I
think
will go with Jewell on this one.
yeah, I think they're going to have similar baselines. Question is which one has a chance for a bigger play. We'll go
Right.
with Joel on this one. Okay. All right. So Matty Boy Blue, I think you're probably pulling your hair out. If you're like me, maybe turning gray a little bit. But what I would say is probably at the end of the day, they're going to probably both be relatively close. So I don't think it's going to be off that much. So take a deep breath. We'll enjoy the game, and Jewel outscore Brooks by 1 or 2 points max. That's what our gut is probably saying here. Cole Moss, always glad to have Cole with us as well. Welcome back, Cole. Full PPR. London with a brand new quarterback who, at least we talked about earlier, we think is not going to throw a ton today, or at least less than average for a game. London or Walker or Harrison for the flex.
Oh man,
Harrison hasn't done diddly poo.
done nothing. Yeah,
He's got the name. Carolina's defense, their pass defense, has not been great. It is improving, but not enough that I'm playing him over the other two. Agreed?
yeah, absolutely.
So now we're down to London or Walker. And you weren't high on Walker earlier.
I have concerns. Yes,
So do you think Penix, when he throws the ball, he's going to be targeting the big 6'5" London?
I hope so. Um, I'm actually really upset with Darnell Mooney right now. So yeah, London's getting all the points today in the receiver.
I think Penix is going to target London a lot.
I do
Um,
too. I
in the
really
in
do.
the in his first game, target the big target. And
Which
if
means
I
Pitts is going off today.
I can see Pitts. The thing is,
He
Pitts is
could.
playing so few snaps though, and if this becomes a big lead,
Yeah.
when they are running the ball, Pitts is on the bench. I mean, that's been shown this year, and the snap counts continue to go down. So, I think it's a London game. So I'm going London in this one over Walker, and then Harrison's last for me. Aligned?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right. Late night toker, welcome back here as well. And so needs to pick 1.5 PPR. Bowers or London? Aiden O'Connell's back,
I can't sit Bowers.
particularly against that Jacksonville defense.
It's against just about any defense. Yeah. Bowers has been unstoppable. He's getting all the targets. Yeah, he's fantastic. I'll take him over London for sure.
I do like London this week. He's more of a wide receiver too, but you've got a top two tight end here, and it's half PPR on top of that. Where London, London probably maybe get more bigger plays, maybe not as many catches per se. I'm in with you on Bowers and late night toker. Good luck. And if that's your flex question, man, which most likely it could be, you're probably in pretty good shape, man.
Yeah, congratulations on your win this week.
Yeah, get ready to move on to the finals. We're feeling confident for you. All right, Dale Cooper has a couple of questions. Hello, Dale. Tony Pollard or Patrick Taylor Jr.?
I'll take Pollard since he's for sure playing. I don't know what Taylor's going to be like.
Yeah, with Tony.
Give me the known.
Yeah, look, Patrick Taylor. Okay, he should be the lead back for San Fran, but there's a reason he's bounced around from team to team. There's a reason he was on the practice squad. There's a reason he plays special teams usually.
Yeah.
He's just not a robust running back. So while he'll have the opportunity, I'm not trusting that over Tony Pollard. As long as Pollard's active, which I believe you said he was, that you
He
saw,
is. Yep.
he is
Yep.
active. So if he's active, then that's a done deal. We're going with Tony Pollard on this one. And then he has another question. I'm guessing probably in another league. Brees Hall or Rico Dowdle?
Boy, I think I'll take Dowdle just because I don't think that the Jets will be able to run all day with Hall like we would hope he could. I think they'll be behind and they'll have to throw more.
Well, Brees Hall is a very good pass catching back, though. And both Braylon Allen and Isaiah Davis both had some back trouble, although Davis came off the injury report. Hall didn't, but Hall is supposed to be active today. And I'm doing a quick double check, and he is active. By the way, for those of y'all with Quinnen Williams, he is inactive, just so you know. So you're still doubt. I have to admit, I might split it on Dale and tell him I'm doing a Brees Hall on this one.
I wouldn't be mad if you did.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah, he is the big name. Dowdle, he's been on fire as of late. Can he keep it up? If this game gets out of hand, actually, I think Tampa Bay's been doing pretty good against running backs.
They have been. Their pass defenses would have been more suspect for Tampa Bay.
Right. I'll flip. I'll go Brees Hall.
All right, we're both going to go Brees Hall, Dale. Good luck on that. And by the way, we have 10 minutes left. If you want to guarantee your question gets answered, please use the super chat. Otherwise, we won't be able to get them all. I'm telling y'all now. I can see the list that we have. We're not going to get through all the questions today, folks. So use the super chat if you want to get your question answered. Otherwise, we'll be stopping here in about 10 minutes. Okay, Alec. Welcome, Alec. Glad to have you back again this week. Okay, on WW. Okay, on WW. I'm drawing a blank there. Okay, on WW.
Waiver wire?
On waiver wire. There you go. He's saying he has all these names to pick up from. Which one to pick up for his third defensive lineman? Okay, so he's starting Harold Landry and Hayward. I guess he already played Hayward. And right now has A.J. Epinesa and Ed Oliver on his bench. So out of Epinesa, Oliver, and the other names, are you picking one of those up in putting into the number 3 spot? Are you going with Epinesa or Oliver? And Buffalo, just as a double check of the matchup, is going against the Patriots, whose offensive line has struggled. And Oliver was dominant on the field last week. All the stats didn't necessarily translate, but he was a dominant force last week. One of his better games of the year.
Yeah, I don't think I'm picking up anybody else. I'll probably throw Oliver in there as my DO3.
Boy, there's a piece of me that I know it's
I'm not
against
happy about.
California.
I'm not big on keeping Epinesa.
Yeah, I'd be comfortable dropping Epinesa. Quiddy Pace playing time has unfortunately come down with
Yep.
Taekwon Lewis coming back. So don't feel great about that. Don't feel great about Clark at the defensive tackle. The one I like is Clowney here. Now it'd be interesting to know if there's a scoring difference between the tackles and ends, or and if you get more for a sack. But there's a piece of me that likes Clowney this week, even though he only played 38% of snaps last week coming back from injury. Um, I think he'll play more this week. Um, so you're going Oliver.
Yeah, I would put him as my third guy.
I have to admit, I think I'd stick with Oliver against a New England Patriots team that's going to try and run the ball. They've talked about how they don't want Mace scrambling a whole lot. They don't want to risk injury because they're not in the playoff hunt, which might leave him more in the pocket. So I'd go Oliver. But would you drop Epinesa for Clowney, or would you drop him for Pay, or any of the others?
Diaby actually intrigues me a little bit here.
I do
Uh,
like Diaby as well. He was my second choice.
I think I would make that move. Clowney, I feel like he could get hurt again. I feel like that's all he does is disappear or get hurt or have a big game. And I like Diaby. I would make that move. I would drop Epinesa for Diaby.
But we still play Oliver.
I'll still play Oliver. Yeah,
Okay, there we go. All right. Can you scroll down the list, make sure we don't have any super chats as I pull up this next one here from Late Night Toker as well?
we are good.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right, folks, 7 minutes left. If you want a question answered, be sure and use the super chat. Otherwise, we won't get to them. Oh, sorry about that. All right, need to pick one. Buda Baker, Levante David, or Jamian Sherwood. Some interesting choices here. We've talked about David and Sherwood earlier in the show. Then we have Buda here going against Carolina.
All right. Buddha's one of the top tacklers in the league, as is
He is.
Sherwood. I'm not. I don't think I'm putting Baker over these two linebackers. Not today, because I don't feel good about Carolina's offense today.
Okay. So do you feel better about Sherwood or David? I'm leaning Sherwood on this one right
I'm
now.
leaning Sherwood also.
So Late Night Toker, you've got 3 really good options here is what we're telling you. And it's close, but it's Sherwood, David, and Baker for us. And always glad to help out. And thank you for joining us as always, Late Night. Alec has another question here. Oop, ran into a technical difficulty
6
here.
for a sack. Pretty big score in there. I don't think that
So,
changes.
well, 1.56 for an assist. That's a pretty precise scoring system there, man. Yeah, I don't know if that's going to change our thought process here.
It doesn't change it up for me. I feel
Okay,
better about Oliver getting a sack now.
fair
Sack
enough.
fumble.
I should have pulled that earlier. Sorry about that. Okay, so Silence is now asking, tackle heavy with 5 points for interceptions. Need one for IDP flex. Sherwood, Luvu, or Terrell Bernard. Our first Terrell Bernard question today.
Yeah, Luvu's out between these guys.
Yeah, particularly for a tackle heavy league, for sure.
I like Sherwood being on the field more than these two.
Yeah.
I'm rolling with Sherwood.
And Bernard, my fear, particularly when I have an option like Sherwood, is the whole injury situation. He does tend to get banged up a little bit. I'm with you. I'm going to go with Sherwood on this one as well. Lufu is distant third, particularly being a tackle heavy league.
Yeah.
Mr. Bakes-a-lot says, "What's up, homies? What's up with you, Mr. Bakes-a-lot? Glad to have you, and hope you're doing well, man. And good luck this
Good
week."
luck today. Yes, sir.
Fud Gums Lovers. Okay, this one I would remember. I think this is a new one, man. Um, and so he's got Etienne, Ford, or Bigsby, half PPR, pick one. Of course, earlier in the show, we talked about the concerns with DTR and the Browns offense, but then you got Bigsby 2 weeks ago, Etienne last week. You want to flip a coin and guess which one might be?
It's Bigsby all day, every day, except for last week or the week before.
And this week, exactly. Well put, Sean. So which one you doing?
They're playing the Raiders. I feel like ETN and Bigsby are both going to be used. Bigsby for the touchdown.
Bigsby for the touchdown. Wow.
Bigsby for the touchdown.
Gosh,
Does
I
it feel like
can't.
there's a right answer here?
Fud Gums Lover, I'm really sorry that you're this tough. This is a tough one, man. And I got to be honest with you. This one, when you could flip a coin and either of the three could come up the right answer, but I don't think any of them are going to have big, massive games. And so Sean's going Bigsby for the touchdown. I'm going to go ETN for the pass catching on this one, even with the half PPR. I'm going to, and so I hate to split. So we've taken out Ford for you, and it's, ETN or Bigsby, and really it's a coin flip, man. You could stress over and over on this one. Jacksonville's, they've been going back and forth, and because they've been going back and forth, I think this week they do the flip back on us, and it's ETN this week and Bigsby next week.
Dearness Johnson game.
I don't even know if he's active today. If
I
you
don't
check,
think so.
yeah. And Alex, oh, it's your Super Bowl week this week. Well, man, we do hope we helped you to the championship. Okay, Mr. Bakesalot does have a question here. Pick two for the defensive line spot. And folks, we have about 2 or 3 minutes left. We're only going to get to one or two more questions after this one. So if you don't have super chat, we'll be done. I'm just forewarning everybody. Okay, Yaya Diaby, Tryon Shrinka, Will McDonald, Dante Fowler, Zadarius Smith, Tyree Wilson, or Caleb Chason. Pick two.
Diaby and Chason.
I am just thinking through that answer, and I am
Possibly.
with you. The thing with Chason, he played 98% of the snaps last week, and he was all around the quarterback. He didn't get a sack like he had the week before, or the interception like he did the week before, but 98% of the snaps on the field, you got to kind of roll with that. Tyree Wilson played 75% of the snaps. He was the other one that was kind of debating against around along with Diaby, but I think I'd rather Diaby and Chason right now as my two. The Dallas offensive line with some of the struggles they're having at offensive tackle, maybe he pulls you in a sack. All right, Glue Sniffer's back with us this week. Oh, I'm sorry, Glue Sniffer is our first thing. Madison, Amir Abdullah, or Patrick Taylor? I'm assuming PPR.
Amir Abdullah.
Amir Abdullah was the one I was leaning towards as well. I just
He
don't
was
trust
really
Patrick
efficient when he came in.
Taylor. Yep. And I think they will have those checkdowns, and I think Madison is stuck in mud. So I think
I think so.
Amir is the play out of that one, and that's going to be a tough one, man. We hope you advance, and we hope to see you again next week. Even if you don't, come give us a shout out, Glue Sniffer. Okay, Dylan Fink, playoffs, baby, you bet. Love that energy. Three separate questions. In fairness, Dylan Fink, we're gonna pick one of these. And is there one that's for defense oriented? No, it's not. So, okay, we'll try and go through them all quick. Abdullah, Madison, Spears, Odunze, or Strange. He needs one running back and one flex.
Strange and Abdullah.
Strange and Abdullah. I'm gonna actually go Strange and Odunze. I feel a Odunze touchdown today. So sorry, we're splitting it on
Really?
that. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Henry, a Strange, a tight end. We answered this one earlier. It was Strange.
Strange. Yeah.
One running back, tight end. K9. I'm drawing a blank on
That's
K9.
Kenneth Walker.
Kenneth Walker. Oh, Kenneth
Yeah.
Walker easily over Ford, right? No
Yeah.
brainer.
Yeah.
Yep. Ertz over Chig with Ertz being active.
Yeah. Revenge game set
Yeah,
up.
yeah, I think Ertz is going to have 8 catches for 39 yards today.
I
All right,
like it.
I'm scrolling through looking for any regulars here real quick. Okay, Will Power's here. We're going to do just a couple more for our regulars. Sorry, folks. If you didn't use the super chat, apologies for that. Belton, Delpit, or Hufanga?
Belton.
Belton
Yep.
as well for me.
Yeah.
And Sam's a regular. Hang on. Okay, we're going to do Sam real quick. Uh, Purdy's been on the decline. I'm looking to start Jared Goff. I should have trusted Purdy against Miami, or Goff in the cold against Chicago.
Ooh, that's a good point. I think he's still good golf. He's going to have to throw more than Purdy. I don't trust Purdy right now.
Not trusting Purdy right now. No running game. Okay, so you're going to go Goff. Okay, fair
I'm
enough.
going golf.
Okay, Will once again another regular gets another question in here.
Man, oh man, his are all really good. Who jumps out the most?
Uh,
Probably.
Simmons and Sealer, I probably like the most out of these two. Out of these
I would
five, I'm
like.
sorry.
I would like Floyd a lot more if I knew for sure what Nick Bosa's status was.
Yeah, which is an unknown, unfortunately, still at this
Unknown
point in
right
time.
now. Would you take Floyd over Sealer?
I would not.
If not at all.
Nope, not at all. I mean, Sealer just puts up the stats and the
He's been
numbers.
on fire. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's been on fire as of late. I'm with
yeah.
you. Simmons is Sealer. If
If you have to pick
no,
one of
he
those,
shouldn't have any problems. Oh, just one. Ooh.
if you had to pick one,
Sealer over Simmons.
Sealer over Simmons.
Snap counts is what I'm worried about with Simmons.
That's a great point, which we talked about earlier. Like both of them as a play, Sealer just barely over Simmons. Okay, that would be our two willpower, and we'll go to Slim Reaper, who's also a regular. And this will be our last question of the day, folks, because I don't see any super chats in there. Two questions. Kendricks being questionable, but he was questionable last week. Same type of situation. He ended up playing, but do we play Edwards, TJ Edwards, in the earlier game against Detroit over Kendricks? Are you playing Edwards over Kendricks? Forgetting about the time start for a second, would you play Edwards over Kendricks?
No.
So you would take the chance and wait and play Kendricks later?
As long as I have somebody I could throw in, worst case scenario. I don't. Edwards hasn't done it much for me lately or this year. He's got his name from the previous 2 seasons, but he's been a bit MIA this year. I like Kendricks as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, so I would keep an eye on some of the reports, but right now I might try and find some of the Dallas beat writers online, Slim Reaper. But as of now, I do expect Kendricks to play similar to Sean. Edwards, he'll give you a little bit of a floor, but not maybe a whole lot. Kendricks will probably get you 10 combined tackles. Edwards maybe 7 or 8, maybe. That's
Yeah.
a little bit of the risk. So that's probably what you're balancing in between. All righty. Sorry, Connor, I can see you're disappointed, but like I said, we knew we wouldn't be able to get all the questions. There's a lot we had to skip over, and we spent a little bit extra time to make sure we hit the regulars. And we told people to use the super chat if you didn't get your questions in earlier enough, and nobody used the super chat. So with that, unfortunately, we're gonna have to wrap it up here. We do wish everybody the best in your fantasy playoffs. We will be here next week for the finals, where many people in their finals. We do encourage you to join IDP Plus chat. IDP Plus, our website. We have a discount of 20% off using the code PROPS. And we do wish everybody the very best. Sean, any final words for everybody?
Good luck, everyone. Try not to get too cute.
Yep. Exactly. When in doubt, play your studs. And with that, good luck to everybody. Stay safe. Have a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. We'll see you next Sunday, and good luck. And check out our IDP Plus advice show. Follow me at RickyRod66 so you know when it's posted. It won't be posted at its normal time because of Christmas. Take care, everybody. Bye.